Oh fuck, that green screen looks like ass. Yay! Which one should I use? Okay, so very much so didn't plan to make a video on this, and then I realized I could, and I found it at least a little interesting enough to make a video on it, so I decided I might as well. I have my green screen going in the background, I have my new camera angle set up so you can see my beautiful game shelf. And trust me, even though I haven't uploaded that much lately, I tend to not try to talk about things unless I have a reason to talk about them. And so today I'm going to be talking about my DS that I've been playing maybe a little too much, and in particular I'm going to be talking about the fact that it's hacked, and something in particular that I'm going to do on it because it's hacked. Okay, so one of my favorite things about having a video game collection, and one of the best things about video game collecting, is that you have every video game you could ever want to play on your shelf ready to go. But I really haven't collected that much for my DS, and because of that, when I got it, I was expecting to have to sort of go through a whole nother game library. Luckily though, my friend that sold this to me had already hacked it, and because of that, I was able to get a bunch of free games on here, and recently I went onto my computer and loaded my SD card and got a bunch more free games, so this thing's gonna be stacked for a long time. And by the way, even though I'm a game collector, I feel like there's this weird mantra with collecting and emulation. You see, on one hand, many video game collectors are sort of opposed to emulation. I find this to be a little odd because at the end of the day, collecting and emulation both have the same goal. That goal, of course, is to preserve video games as a medium and to basically keep these things and make sure that even older game titles are still popular and are still being taken note of. For instance, one of my favorite physical games I have is this game called No One Lives Forever. And even though this is a really cool game, one of the main reasons why people are talking about it now is because it got a really good PC port. And through emulation, people are able to play these games that might have been forgotten if it wasn't for emulation. That being said, emulation has a lot more purposes, and that's what this video is about. So quick story time, a long time ago when I first got this DS, I really wanted to play the original New Super Mario Bros. That was released for the very original DS.
This is Nintendo DS.
When I think of the DS console, this was the game that shipped with it, right? This is the sort of headlining in which Mario is coming back to 2D, and it's a brand new experience. It's Mario's first sort of 3D looking 2D game. And this was the first time Mario had a 2D experience in a very long time. And so people were very surprised that this game came out. And because of that, and this being sort of the start of the DS era, this was the first DS game I really wanted to play. And so a little bit ago, my friend gave me his original copy of New Super Mario Bros. Okay, so I'm very close to 100%ing this thing on my DS. I've 100%ed Worlds 1 through 7, and now I'm getting ready to 100% World 8. And that being said, I sort of felt bad because I really love having my own copies of games, and I knew that I'd have to give him back his copy once I beat it. And so, what I did recently was I went to my local game store, and I bought my own copy of the game. By the way, the green is being picked up by the green screen. It's kind of stupid. But anyways, I decided to get my own copy, and I was like, okay, this is really cool, I have my own copy, but now I'm going to have to 100% this game all over again. Or do I? Okay, so that's where I'm going to start the sort of technical part of this video, in which I'm going to show you something really cool you can do with my hacked DS, which is transfer the save from one copy to another copy of the game. And so I'm going to move my camera angle a little bit. By the way, here's proof that I haven't forgotten about you guys. There's the timeline for a new video I've been making for a long time. Oh shoot, how am I gonna do this? Sorry for this absolutely fucking scuffed camera angle, but here we go. Here, actually, let me really quickly turn off one of the green screen effect. There we go, that'll look a lot better. Okay, so as you can see, here's my DS, and here are all of my totally not hacked games. I mean, I already admitted to hacking, so whatever. And then here is the copy of New Super Mario Bros. That my friend gave me. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the hack client. Oh my god, my face. So you go to titles. As you can see at the start, at the very top there, we have New Super Mario Bros. And we're going to export save data, which means we're gonna take out the save data on the cartridge. Oh, and by the way, if I haven't mentioned this already, the save data for these games is held on the cartridge of the game itself. So that's why I can't put a new disc or a new cartridge into here and have the same save data. It's actually on the cartridge itself. Okay, so I'm gonna click yes. It exported the save, and now we're good. Okay, so now I'm going to take out my friend's cartridge. And I actually haven't tested out the new game that I got today, so hopefully the new cartridge works, but it should work just fine in my DS. Pop that in there. Okay, and actually, because I haven't opened this yet, I'm going to see if there is any save data on here to begin with, because I'm actually kind of curious if they sold me a cart with save data already on it. Okay, so we're going to go to Mario game, and as you can see, okay, so as you can see, there is no save data at all on this cartridge. And so now we're going to leave the game. And even though this might seem very self-explanatory, I still think it's pretty cool that I have the ability to do this on my hacked DS. We're going to load back up the FBI hack client. We're going to go to titles, what I have here, and we're going to import save data instead of export because we're importing it onto the disk. And as you can see now, it's loading. It has imported the save. Now this is where the real test comes in to see if it works. I'm actually very curious if, I mean, it should work based on all the words I'm seeing, but let's see. Mario. And there we are. Here's my friend's save file. As you can see, it's actually 100% complete. And there's mine. In fact, I'm going to erase my friend's save file because it's technically on this cartridge, right? So we don't need it anymore. So it's my friend's save file is still saved. It's just not going to be on this cartridge anymore. And then I'm going to copy mine to file 1, and boom. So now on my cartridge of New Super Mario Bros., as you can see, it's not 100% completed yet. I'm on World 8. As you can see, there is no completely completed thing at the top of the world, but on World 7 there is, which shows that I've completed World 1 through 7 on this cartridge. And then once again, I'm going to load up my friend's cartridge to sort of show that his file is still on there and that I was able to save from there onto this cartridge, which is now mine. And here we go. And as you can see, even though I just deleted it on my cartridge, we still have my friend's file and we still have my file. In fact, actually, I'm not going to delete my file from this cartridge because my friend said that he wants to sort of get 3 people to get really good saves on this cartridge just for fun. So we're going to leave mine on there. If he wants to delete it, he can eventually. But now my friend's cartridge is going to go back into his case that he gave me for the game. And I can return it to him, and I don't have to worry about losing my save file because I now have my very own copy with the save file that I've been working on for a bit now. There's so many kids running around my neighborhood right now, dude. You can hear them screaming. Okay, so some of you guys might find that process a little uninteresting of me just reading a save file from one game and then putting it onto another. But for me, at least, that was really cool. Like, if I didn't have a hacked DS, then I wouldn't be able to transfer that save file, and I'd be stuck having my thing that I've worked for hours on my friend's cartridge that I'd have to eventually give back. But now I can have it on my own little thing, my own box on my shelf for myself, and my friend can get his own copy back, and we won't have to deal with, you know, missing out if you ever want to replay that game or look at your old save file, which I feel like many of us gamers love to do. Anyways, I'm going to end this with just a sort of little discussion about emulation and my opinions on it. I make a lot of articles, and in there I talk a lot about the sort of efficacy behind video games and things that happen in the industry. And for instance, one of the big things I like to talk about in terms of the ethics is microtransactions and extra payments. In fact, back when that was a huge fiasco, I had a whole article about NFTs in video games. And even though this is much different than that, I still think the idea of emulation is really interesting because we're just now really seeing the raw power and the importance behind emulation. And not to mention just how cool it is. If I ever go on vacation or a road trip or do anything ever again outside, I'm going to take my DS. That isn't entirely because it's hacked, also because this is my favorite portable console in general, but also now because it's hacked, I don't have to worry about taking dozens of cartridges with me. I have so many games on this thing purely because of emulation, and even if I do, let's say, eventually rebuy these games on cartridge, the fact that I have them on here and the fact that everything is stored in this little device, hundreds of hours of gaming, is just really, really cool. Up until recently, I haven't been a huge fan of portable gaming. I have a Game Boy Advance, and this thing is cool, but other than having a few good games, it's not really that portable nowadays. And I'm planning to actually remod this thing with a backlight or something, so that it's a little more usable than how it is now, because these things are a little crappy, and aren't that much fun to really take on the go if you're actually going somewhere. And then of course the Nintendo Switch, and I actually have a big problem with the portability of the Nintendo Switch and, let's say, the Steam Deck. You see, even though these things are technically insanely portable and insanely powerful, at the end of the day, the games that are on here are all games that were supposed to be played primarily on a TV. And that's why I think when you take them portably, you're actually losing a part of the experience. And at the end of the day, I think many games that you're supposed to be playing on a TV aren't that good to be played portably, because you're expected to be sitting down there for, let's say, at least 30 minutes. But on my Nintendo DS, a lot of these games were made to be played in like 10-minute intervals, so it feels good to sit down and just play a little and then get up and go. Also, I just fucking love this thing. And back onto emulation, I think, although it does have many problems, it's a very, very good seamless way for people to play video games. The thing that I like about it the most is that it's still a lot more foolproof than many of the other ways we have to play video games. For instance, on my Xbox 360, 2 games that I've played through recently have been Halo 1 and 2. And don't get me wrong, Halo 1 and 2 are really, really good, but one of the big problems that I have with these games is that they're running on an Xbox 360 on older hardware, and the way that the Xbox 360 runs original Xbox games is a little weird. And this goes for playing Xbox 360 games on an Xbox 360. It's always a little iffy because this hardware is so old. Even if us collectors try our best to uphold this hardware and we refurbish it and keep it at its top condition, no matter what, it's always going to have a few problems. And that's the main reason why I look at emulation and I'm really happy. Because I know that even if these things go out of date sometime, somewhere the data is still being held and we can still play these really good games even if all the hardware is broken. Also, I think this is a huge sign that I care way too much about video games and I should spend my time doing something else. Anyways, game on, boys. As much as I'm trying to edit this new big video that I've been creating, this thing has been sucking away at a lot of my time, so I'm sorry if it takes a little longer. But anyways, I don't want to hold you guys for too long. I just wanted to show off something cool that I'm doing with my hacked DS and the cool hardware and talking about emulation and yeah, I love Mario. Goodbye.